In public, Buddy Ebsen stopped Nancy Culp from running for office, and Donna Douglas sued Disney for allegedly stealing her ideas. These weren't just a few fights behind the scenes, they were shocks that broke up the whole Beverly Hillbillies group. Do you remember the cute Ellie Mae? Or the silly Jethro? Yes. Could you send us some kittens again? Please wait a minute. The truth was much tougher behind them. The movie that looked like it would be all fun and laughter turned into a mess of angry arguments, long-running cases, and failed plans. Bud Ebsen and Nancy Culp were in the middle of the fight. They had acted in famous scenes together, but when they weren't on TV, they were fierce rivals. When Ebsen openly spoke out against Culp's political path, there was a huge rift between the two. At a rare opportunity, Ebsen told her straight out, "Nancy is so sure of Miss Hathaway's charm, but real life isn't a sitcom. I don't think the public will agree with what she wants to do." That comment not only killed their friendship, but it also caused one of the most talked about personal fights in TV history. Culp also didn't stay quiet. She spoke out in protest after the painful loss. Buddy was never the kind person that people thought Jed Clampett would be. He walked into a spot that wasn't his, which hurt my odds. From that point on, they never got back together. People were shocked because they had seen the two of them work well together for almost 10 years. At the same time, Donna Douglas wrote a totally different chapter about secrets that happened behind the scenes. People thought Douglas was a kind and quiet person because Ellie Mae was seen as a pure and innocent person. That picture was turned on its head by the case against Disney and Whoopi Goldberg. Douglas said that her writing ideas were stolen and used to make big-budget movies. She went to court thinking that the fact that Ellie Mae was well-known would prove her point. The case showed how tough and determined someone who was once portrayed as a Southern doll could be, even though she lost. It showed a different side of Donna Douglas. She was ready to die for what she thought was right. Max Baer Jr., the youngest of the Bears, had a long-running disagreement with CBS because the company licensed Jethro's likeness without talking to him first. The fights went on for years, making Baer Jr. angry. He once said, "I don't own Jethro, but Jethro has shaped my whole career. I just want to be treated fairly for the legacy I helped create." Not only were there major conflicts, but there were also countless controversial details during the filming process. Donna Douglas once brought real pets to the set to increase authenticity. When one animal unexpectedly escaped, it caused panic among the crew, and Douglas was later asked to stop this habit. Buddy Ebsen often intervened in the script, adding details from his personal experiences. The writers did not always agree, but because he was the central figure, most of his opinions were kept. And when Max Baer Jr. tried his hand at directing, he insisted on using real explosions instead of special effects. One scene nearly injured the entire crew, creating a fierce debate about his direction. These cracks never healed. Each character went in a different direction, but all carried the aftershocks of the conflicts that began on the set of the Beverly Hillbillies. What appeared to be a lighthearted sitcom hid a web of struggle, resistance, and mutual disappointment. To understand why those conflicts carry such weight, it's important to look back at the show's history from its initial conception to the moment CBS bet on a sitcom that was overlooked but then became a phenomenon. The making of a sitcom legend. The American television landscape in the early 1960s was fiercely competitive. Major networks had to constantly come up with new ideas to keep their audiences. CBS, which was then dominating with family programming, unexpectedly accepted a seemingly odd project. A sitcom revolving around a poor farming family whose fortunes are suddenly transformed by the discovery of oil and who move to the heart of Beverly Hills. The idea came from Paul Henning, a well-known Hollywood screenwriter. Henning believed that the contrast between rustic life and luxurious surroundings would create irresistible comedy. When he pitched it to CBS, many executives were skeptical that urban audiences would accept the story of a lost family. Nevertheless, the network agreed to schedule the pilot, considering it a bold experiment. From the start, the casting process was crucial. Paul Henning and the casting team needed to find faces that would make the characters as real as possible. Buddy Ebsen, already familiar with American television, was chosen for the role of Jed Clampett because of his experience and approachable demeanor. Nancy Culp brought a sharp, intelligent image suitable for the role of Secretary Miss Hathaway. Donna Douglas, a Southern belle, was quickly chosen to transform into Ellie Mae, bringing charm and approachability. Max Baer Jr. was not famous, but made a strong impression with his wit, becoming the perfect choice for the role of Jethro. When the show entered the pilot phase, the initial internal reaction was not exactly rosy. Some CBS executives worried that a sitcom about farmers would be considered too old-fashioned. Nevertheless, the pilot proved to be the opposite. The first scenes with the country bumpkin walks into a luxury mansion situation made the audience in the test screening burst into laughter. It was this reaction that led CBS to decide to officially schedule the show. The Beverly Hillbillies title was also deliberate. Henning wanted to emphasize the contrast by naming it directly after the famously wealthy location. Just hearing the title, the audience can imagine the humorous situation: a simple family appears in the most luxurious center of America. The show quickly exceeded expectations on its first day. It was immediately clear to CBS that it was a primetime ace. The ratings were so high that advertisers were willing to pay big to appear with the new sitcom. In just a few weeks, the Beverly Hillbillies proved that an underrated concept could become a phenomenon. The early production process also saw a certain solidarity. The main actors focused on creating laughter rather than personal disagreements. Paul Henning often reiterated the principle: the audience only cares about fun. Everything else must give way to laughter. That direction allowed the show to maintain a steady production pace, producing dozens of episodes per season. To keep things fresh, the original writers continually exploited the unique details of the Clampett family. They deliberately placed the characters in unimaginable situations in the middle of a modern city. That was the formula that brought attraction right from the first season. CBS realized that this sitcom was not only entertainment, but also reflected the cultural gap between two opposing worlds, something that the audience could easily recognize and laugh at. Once the foundation was laid, the program moved beyond short-term success and entered what is known as its golden age, where record-breaking achievements and influence spread across the United States. The Golden Era. Beverly Hillbillies was a phenomenon in its first season. Not only did it put millions of American families in front of their screens, it also set an unprecedented viewership record. It was the heyday of the sitcom when it became the most talked about show in everyday life. CBS saw huge traction from the very first episodes. The ratings showed that the show was more popular than expected. This turned the sitcom into a primetime powerhouse, leaving its competitors in the dust. For several seasons in a row, the Beverly Hillbillies was consistently among the top shows, even reaching the #1 spot at one point. For a new series that was rare, the show's strength lies in its relatability. Viewers find in the Clampett family a naive, genuine quality that contrasts sharply with the opulence of Beverly Hills. This contrast creates situations that are funny, relatable, and accessible to all classes. Americans everywhere from rural to urban can laugh at the situations the Clampetts find themselves in. The cast also contributed greatly to the success. Buddy Ebsen as Jed Clampett brought a calm, down-to-earth manliness to the show. Nancy Culp as Miss Hathaway added a touch of intellectualism and seriousness, creating the perfect counterpoint. Donna Douglas as Ellie Mae became a symbol of Southern beauty, cute and charming. Max Baer Jr. transformed into the naive Jethro, bringing a silliness that made the audience laugh. The combination of the four main faces helped the sitcom maintain its freshness over many episodes. This period also saw a strong spread beyond the screen. The characters became the subject of everyday life, from coffee shops to schools to newspaper editorials. Phrases associated with the film, such as cement pond, quickly entered popular culture. Children imitated Jethro's style while Southern women saw themselves in Ellie Mae. Not only did it appeal to domestic audiences, it was also rebroadcast in many international markets. With its simple and easy-to-understand content, this sitcom touched many different cultures. That helped the Beverly Hillbillies become one of the most widely broadcast American comedy series of its time. CBS capitalized on the boom. Advertising revenue soared, and businesses saw the Beverly Hillbillies as a golden opportunity. It also led to a greater investment in production, maintaining a consistent schedule with a large number of episodes per season. The Golden Age also reflected the recognition that critics often showed for their reticence towards sitcoms with pop colors. Regardless of the critics, the Beverly Hillbillies proved its vitality through audience numbers and popularity. Not many shows can maintain such achievements for many years. Another notable point is the teamwork during this production period. Everyone focused on the goal of maintaining the attraction. The tight filming schedule did not reduce the enthusiasm because the great success created a strong motivation. This is the factor that helped the sitcom overcome initial concerns to affirm its #1 position. The success also opened up great opportunities for each actor. They became familiar faces on television and at public events. Their images appeared in newspapers, magazine covers, and many advertising campaigns. The Beverly Hillbillies turned them into real stars in the public eye. The Golden Age can be summed up in one word: phenomenon, a television show that exists not only in its time slot, but also in real life, becoming a part of American culture. That is the position that the Beverly Hillbillies achieved during its peak. After affirming its appeal and becoming a cultural icon, the sitcom continued to make its mark with specific achievements, from the number of episodes to the level of influence beyond television. Achievements that defined an era. During its nearly decade-long run, the Beverly Hillbillies carved out a unique place in American television history. The sitcom's success was measured not only in its audience, but also in its enduring presence and profound influence on popular culture. The first thing that stands out is its longevity. The show lasted 9 seasons, totaling 274 episodes. This is an impressive number when you consider that many sitcoms of the same era only lasted a few short seasons. This longevity shows that the Beverly Hillbillies' appeal was never underestimated, at least until its final stage. With 274 episodes, American audiences had the familiar presence of the Clampett family in prime time for nearly a decade. In terms of ratings, the sitcom has consistently held a high position for many seasons. In its first year, the show rose to the top of the Nielsen charts and remained in the top group for many years after that. The record-breaking viewership has given CBS the weight it needs to make a strategic play in its broadcast schedule. Although critics have sometimes been cautious, the audience numbers are the clearest proof of its success. The show also made its mark on the television awards circuit. While not a critically acclaimed sitcom, the Beverly Hillbillies still garnered notable nominations, including an Emmy nomination for Nancy Culp. This was a rare recognition for a series that was labeled as a lowbrow show, proving that success was not limited to the public response, but also recognized on a critical level. Cultural influence is what determines lasting value. The Beverly Hillbillies brought the details from the screen into real life. Audiences repeated lines and used phrases from the show as part of everyday language. The animal-loving Ellie Mae, the simple Jed Clampett, and the goofy Jethro all became stereotypes to describe different types of people in society. This shows that sitcoms have gone beyond entertainment to become cultural references. Another notable achievement is its commercialization. Thanks to its great appeal, the Beverly Hillbillies image and brand have been exploited in many fields, from advertising products, publishing to TV shows. This has expanded its influence, making the sitcom not only limited to the small screen, but also present in many aspects of daily life. For the cast, the sitcom also marked a turning point. Buddy Ebsen went from veteran actor to national star, paving the way for other successful roles in his television career. Nancy Culp received recognition with an Emmy nomination, becoming a representative face of the intellectual female image on television. Donna Douglas became a Southern beauty icon. Her image spread on magazine covers and advertising campaigns. Max Baer Jr., even though facing Jethro's shadow, was the sitcom that gave him the opportunity to later enter the fields of production and directing. The show also left a legacy of rural themes on television. The success of the Beverly Hillbillies encouraged CBS and many other networks to develop sitcoms set in rural areas or with similar contrasts. This was a huge wave in the 1960s, helping to shape the trend of sitcom production during that period. The popularity of the Beverly Hillbillies also helped cement CBS's position in the television market. Not only did the network have a hit show, but it also had a strong brand product that kept its audience loyal. This success helped CBS withstand the increasingly fierce competition from its contemporaries. The Beverly Hillbillies' success did not lie in its sophistication or complex plot. The sitcom's strength was its ability to reach the masses with its simplicity, ease of understanding, and familiar laughter. That is what made the show last so long, leaving an impression in the memories of many generations of audiences. The Beverly Hillbillies began to face harsh realities. The social context changed, the audience's tastes shifted, and internal conflicts caused the sitcom, once at its peak, to gradually enter a period of decline. The decline in the end. After nearly a decade of success, the Beverly Hillbillies began to face decline. Once one of the most watched shows in America, the sitcom gradually lost its appeal. The elements that once made it successful now became burdens, making the show no longer maintain its dominant position. The first reason was a change in audience tastes. In the late 1960s, America entered a period of social upheaval. Urban audiences expected content that reflected modernity, while the Beverly Hillbillies maintained its old formula of rural versus urban situations. Repetitive stories gradually became less appealing. Younger viewers began to look for programs that reflected urban life or new social issues. The scripts also showed signs of exhaustion. The writers had once found success in putting the Clampetts in absurd situations amid luxurious surroundings, but after several seasons, the creativity was no longer abundant. Episodes tended to repeat ideas, causing the audience to feel that the freshness was gradually fading. When the original strengths became repetitive, the sitcom gradually lost its ability to hold the audience. Pressure from CBS was also a factor. The network decided to restructure its strategy, phasing out its rural programming in favor of an urban audience, a move that would later be called the Purge. The Beverly Hillbillies was among those axed, even though the sitcom's loyal following. The decision represented a complete change in direction for the network, ending a series of once popular shows. In addition, conflicts within the crew became increasingly apparent. Tensions between Buddy Epson and Nancy Culp created an irreparable distance. The spirit of cooperation that had existed during the Golden Age gradually disappeared, giving way to long-standing disagreements. Meanwhile, other actors also began to seek new opportunities outside of sitcoms, causing the cohesion of the cast to decline significantly. CBS officially aired the final episode in March 1971, marking the end of the Clampett family's 9-year run on the small screen. For many viewers, the end was a surprise, as the sitcom had been a regular weekly show, but for CBS, it was a strategic decision to pave the way for new shows. The Beverly Hillbillies' demise was not just a result of changing tastes and network decisions. The content itself showed its decline. Repetitive situations and lack of innovation gradually made the show lose its original identity. The characters, while still familiar, no longer brought the same surprises. A show that once made the whole country laugh became a product of a new context. The end of the sitcom also reflected a broader trend in American television. The era of rural programming was fading, giving way to urban contemporary content. The Beverly Hillbillies was one of the most prominent representatives of this period, and its end marked a major change in the industry. Still, the sitcom's influence never faded. Even after production ended, reruns continued to air, cementing their place in the memories of generations to come. Even years later, the Beverly Hillbillies remained on cable and later digital platforms, proving that the Clampett family's laughter never completely disappeared. In addition to CBS's decision to cut the airwaves, repetitive scripts, internal conflicts, and changing social tastes led to the Beverly Hillbillies' gradual decline. When the studio lights went out, the end was seen as inevitable for a once dominant icon that could no longer keep up with the changing times. The Beverly Hillbillies' journey has long since ended, but the secrets, conflicts, and legacy left by the cast still intrigue audiences to this day. Behind the seemingly innocent laughter are thorny real-life stories, drastic choices, and unforgettable conflicts. That's what turned the show from a simple sitcom into a piece of television history. If you find the above interesting, please like and share so that more people can know. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss the next videos about behind the scenes of television icons. And what do you think is the most surprising detail in the Beverly Hillbillies? A comment below. We will discuss more.